Hello everybody, welcome back to a brand new video. Welcome to the Running Mate Timeline, Episode 9. We're going from the years 1956 to 1976. It's hot in this living room. I tried taking a shower. That didn't help. I'm sweating bullets. I have two fans, but I gotta turn them both off because I gotta record and last time, and that doesn't make good video with the fans on. So let's get started. 1956, we have Republican President Earl Warren defeating Democrat Senator Estesky Favre 400 to 134 to win re-election. 1957, President Warren ceases nuclear testing for 2 years. He stops it. He also signs the Civil Rights Act in 1957, which creates a commission on civil rights. In 1958, President Warren would sign the U.S.-UK Mutual Defense Agreement, kind of, hey, if you get attacked, we'll help you. 1959, he would also sign the Antarctic Treaty. 1960, President Warren would sign the Treaty of Mutual Cooperation and Security. He would announce neutrality in Vietnam as well as the Civil Rights Act of 1960, which is federal inspection at voter polls. And going on to the 1960 election, we have Senator Lyndon B. Johnson defeating Republican Vice President Henry Lodge Jr. Oh boy, I don't know if you can hear that. I did though. I'm using a new mic. I'm using like a headset instead of like a regular mic until I get a new one. But Lyndon B. Johnson would defeat Henry Lodge Jr. become the 27th president. It's a very close election. 1961, there's nothing noteworthy. In 62, Johnson would announce an embargo on Cuba. There's also the Cuban Missile Crisis, and the 22nd Amendment is passed, which is the DC gets electoral votes, gets representation in the Electoral College, and there is no Bay of Pigs invasion. There is none of that. There was no Eisenhower or Nixon to plan that. In 1963, there's nothing noteworthy. 1964, the 23rd Amendment is passed, which outlaws the poll tax. Johnson would also sign the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which abolishes racial segregation. Johnson was a closeted civil rights supporter, and with the death of Martin Luther King, I guarantee you we would get some form of Civil Rights Act. Probably much weaker than the original form, but still does the job. U.S. would also enter Vietnam, but we also have the 1964 election where Johnson would go on to face off against Republican Governor William Miller, who would go on to beat him 342 to 196 to win re-election to another term. In 1965, Johnson would sign the Voting Rights Act of 1965, which would outlaw literacy tests. He would also sign an immigration bill which outlawed quotas based on national origin, so we can't just pick and choose who comes in because of their origin, where they're birthed at. 1966, Johnson would sign the Uniform Time Act, which establishes daylight savings. Johnson would also sign the Freedom of Information Act, which declassifies a bunch of government information, something I wish to do one day. In 1967, the 24th Amendment is ratified, meaning there are presidential succession now. There are also race riots. President Johnson would sign the Public Broadcasting Act of 1967, which establishes the Corporation of Public Broadcasting. 1968, we have that election. We have Democrat Senator Edmund Muskie defeating Republican Governor Spiro Agnew and Independent General Curtis LeMay. LeMay would probably do better with rural voters than Wallace, in my opinion, which would grant him Oklahoma, but nothing else. But Edmund Muskie becomes the 28th president. Johnson wouldn't run again like he did IRL because he was hated. In 1969, the U.S. would officially leave Vietnam. Edmund Muskie was an anti-war Democrat. In 1970, there was nothing noteworthy. However, there is no Public Health Cigarette Smoking Act, which was signed by Nixon. In 1971, President Muskie would sign the Uniform Monday Holiday Act, which of course says, hey, Washington's birthday is now a holiday, as well as Lincoln's and Martin Luther King's and all that. 1972 election, Democrat President Edmund Muskie would go on to defeat Republican Congressman Pete McCloskey 305 to 232, so close to that curse where we have to win re-election. Note, McCloskey would go on to win the state of Jefferson. President Muskie in 1973 would sign the Endangered Species Act, of course, designed to protect our endangered species. In 1974, President Muskie would pardon Vietnam War drafters. However, there is two crises that occur, the oil crisis and the energy crisis. 1975, the oil crisis would end, finally, and we have the 1976 election, which President Muskie signs the Federal Election Campaign Act. The two pictures are kind of in the wrong position. Please forgive me for that. But Republican Senator Bob Dole would go on to defeat Democrat President, excuse me, Democrat President Edmund Muskie 291 to 246 to become the 29th president. And that's it. That's it. I thought we were doing more, but I forgot we only go to 1976. I was in the groove, man. I was in the groove of this. But this is it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to go follow my Twitter at Caddick Politics. This is the Caddick one saying peace.